The past is a delicate thing to overcome. Our past fears, decisions, and regrets often take shape as we forge our own destiny within the galaxy. And depending on one's own outlook, all of these experiences forge the very core of who we are, for better or for worse. However, it is when we are dominated by these past experiences that one's own path could become clouded, losing themselves in something that cannot be altered, leading to a distorted perception of their current reality. And it can become a very dangerous thing when one does not know when to let go of it. For this holo recording, we will be traveling back to the days of the rebellion and a time where the Alliance along with Luke Skywalker found themselves on a planet all too familiar to the concept of war, ravaged for the very ore beneath their feet. Today, my friends, we will be taking a closer look within our vault records from the Civil War era, detailing the mission the Rebel Alliance along with Luke Skywalker undertook in order to travel to the planet of Jabiim for the Alliance to recruit the planet's loyalists into the rebellion. Just a few mere months after the destruction of the first Death Star, Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa, and a few rebel officials found themselves traveling to the outer rim planet of Jabiim with the intent to aid the local loyalists and perhaps even recruit them to their ranks. What the rebellion was not aware of, however, was of the loyalists' ultimate distrust when it came to outsiders, stemming from a dark past that forever changed their perspective on outside assistance for the Jabiimi people. In order to better understand the why, we have to dive deeper into our records, dating back 20 years back to the early months of the conflict that would be known as the Clone Wars. In the early months of the war, the planet of Jabiim came under fire when a Jabiimi commander by the name of Alto Stratus took the planet from the Republic Loyalists, usurping the planet's leadership and allying Jabiim with the Separatist Alliance. We already have a holo recording detailing the grueling reality of what happened in the Battle of Jabiim. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend you all check it out, since this recording will only go into detail about Luke and the Alliance's own experiences on the planet. 20 years earlier, when Stratus came into power, the Jedi Order had been tasked to intervene on behalf of the Loyalists who were still aligned with the Republic. Among the Jedi sent was Luke's own father, Anakin Skywalker, though a Jedi apprentice at the time was still sent to the fronts of war. The battle will end up claiming the lives of every Jedi Master, Knight, and Padawan, leaving Skywalker as the only survivor. When it became apparent that the Republic had effectively lost the planet, a retreat order was given with Anakin Skywalker leading the evacuation for the Republic's forces. However, there was a problem, as the Republic could only get a single transport ship past the storms and into the surface, a transport that only had room for either the Republic's own clone forces or Jabiimi loyalists, but not both. Skywalker had a decision to make, and he ultimately chose the Republic. This infuriated Jabiim loyalist captain Orlis Gilman, who ended up striking Anakin in the face for this. Regardless of Anakin's own personal feelings on the matter, the decision was made, and the Republic departed. Traveling forward to the destruction of the first Death Star, this event had shifted the galaxy, as it was the first time in 2 decades where the vulnerability of the Empire was seen for all to witness. The Alliance wanted to capitalize on this, reinforcing the galaxy-wide revolt against the Empire, with Luke Skywalker, the man who destroyed the Empire's ultimate weapon, front and center, as the poster boy for the Alliance. Luke and Leia, along with a few rebel officials, traveled to Jabiim, meeting with the resistance leader going by the name of Nolan Gilman, Orlis Gilman's own son. Gilman had apparently planned for this meeting to take place in order for the Jabiimi to assess the rebels' own intentions and for them to even see that the rebellion was different than the Republic that had abandoned them. In the years leading to the rise of the Empire under the rule of Darth Sidious, Jabiim had remained an unallied world. Even as they struggled against the Empire, the Jabiimi would refuse aid from nearby worlds, which in turn marginalized the planet of Jabiim and its people in the eyes of the rest of the galaxy. Nolan was attempting to break this cycle, in place by his own father, Captain Gilman, whose hatred over the Republic's departure eventually grew into a distrust for all outsiders, a poison spreading like wildfire all across the Jabiimi people. They had all but let the past consume them, turning them into isolationists. Nolan had brought the rebels in to show the Jabiimi people that they were not alone, not in this fight, not anymore. Leia began to speak with the Loyalists, telling them of her own experiences and how she lost her own homeworld at the hands of the Empire. They had made their intentions clear to the Jabiimi rebels. The Alliance only seeked to end the Imperial oppression on Jabiim and for its citizens to be free to decide their own destinies. The Jabiim recognized that the rebels were underpowered in terms of numbers compared to the Empire, yet it only took one man to bring down their entire Death Star. Leia had introduced that man as Luke Skywalker. The sound of this name had turned the already skeptical audience into a violent mob. Though Nolan was unaware at the time of Luke's true identity, the Jabiim were not having any of it. Believing it to be some kind of sick joke, the Skywalker name was hot on Jabiim, however for all of the wrong reasons, as Anakin's betrayal had left a massive scar on its people, and for some, a score to settle, as some in the crowd even attempted to grab and destroy Skywalker for the actions of his own father, whom he had never met before and only just recently learned of his career as a Jedi Knight. The situation became tense as after just a few minutes of Nolan leaving Skywalker's presence, Luke would be attacked by other Jabiim locals up until Gilman was notified and was forced to intervene. Throughout the story, Nolan would go on to tell Luke of everything that happened during the Battle of Jabiim, even including the apparent demise of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which wouldn't leave Luke stunned as to why Ben had never mentioned any of this before, as in the eyes of Luke, the Battle of Jabiim was shaping up to be a very important moment in his father's life. Nolan even gained a certain level of trust for this Skywalker, openly admitting to Luke that even he himself knew that it was a gamble to even bring them there to begin with. This is how Luke would become aware of the Battle of Jabiim, found in the old wartime logs of the Clone Wars. Nolan Gilman would go on to aid Luke and the other rebels in their escape off the planet, as the Empire had arrived at their location, with Darth Vader himself overseeing the invasion force, eager to finally come face to face with the man who had destroyed the battle station. The rebels had managed to successfully escape the Empire's pursuit on Jabiim, and against their own wishes fled into hyperspace. During this time, Leia attempts to comfort Luke from all of the things he had heard from the Jabiim locals regarding Anakin, and to Leia's surprise, Luke's response to this was not one of anger, pain, or sadness. It was one of love and admiration. Luke goes on to say the following: "If anything, what's happened here makes me love him even more. I wish he could see me, see what I'm becoming, see that I escaped Tatooine and that I'm following in his footsteps." And that is going to do it for this vault opening, my friends, but I would like to know, what are your thoughts on this story and the events that led up to Luke discovering the impact that his father had left on this once stormed planet? If you enjoyed this holo recording, be sure to subscribe and to stay up to date with all of the Star Wars lore that we upload on the channel, both from our Legends and canon Star Wars universe. As always, my friends, be safe and may the Force be with you.